can be in the hand. When they bring their hands together, here's that second part of the timing thing. They can't stay together for more than 10 seconds. So it's half of that time you shut your eyes. So they have 20 seconds to deliver the ball, deliver, not get ready to present, and they have 10 seconds to separate their hands once they put them together. It's a long time, but still at the same time, we want to keep things moving. Now they may step back with either foot before separation and no wind-up motion. Right? So if I'm together and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't like this. I can step back with my pivot foot or my non-pivot foot. But once that I've started my motion, I cannot stop and then get there. Right? Once I've come separated, I can't stop and step off. So they're allowed to. Now, here's the thing too. I don't know where it's coming from, up north somewhere. They come together and then they step back. Hand separates and then I come forward. That is legal. They're allowed to do that. Traverse City St. Francis coach, John, we were at a tournament last year, was all over me. And it got me to the point to where I made my friend go get the rule book because I was questioning myself. The guy was that, and I'm like, gosh almighty, what's going on? But someone up north is telling them they cannot step back once they've come together. They can. Anything of this break is an illegal pitch. Okay? Positions on the regulations. Pitch starts when the hands separate. So answer to one of those questions. Right? The pitch starts when the hand separates. As soon as that hand separates to start their wind up, they must deliver. Now, I haven't seen a lot of deviations, but there are out there, right? All body styles are different. They must deliver in an underhand motion. Vast majority of them use the windmill. Stanger high, I played them for years. Some of them don't, right? I'm glad that they're playing. They were playing, honest to God. But they have to release and follow through forward, the hand below the hip, the wrist not farther from the body than the elbow. Okay? No stopping motion once hands are separated. All of this, if broken, is an illegal pitch. All this is under 6'2", which is the pitching. Pivot foot may stay in contact with the pitching plate or push off and drag away. Push off and drag away. Step must be within the 24-inch pitching plate. This is something we miss. Something we miss. Now, yes, it's difficult to watch the pitch, watch the land, and watch track it in,
watching
right?
the ball, right?
Yep.
Would you back yourself up to tracking?
Yep.
So
So I say it's tough. You got to go with your priority. So if you miss it, you miss it. But that's something for us to be aware of as well as the plate umpire, is they cannot, on their step outside of the 24-inch pitching plate.
Watching them warm up.
Okay? But being aware that they may pitch different than, right? But yeah.
Stop before it happens.
Pivot foot may be no higher than the level plane of the ground.
Oh, boy.
My home field when I was coaching at Dow High. One of the worst fields ever. I've admitted.
There's a hole in the ground.
Okay? After 3 innings, you could put your foot in and it's into your shin. Now I'm going to tell you, when I first started umpiring, you got to drag that ground. I don't care how deep that hole is. That's what I was. But I wasn't realistic, and one, I didn't dive in and read. This says the level plane of the ground. Now, I like it because I'm a geometry teacher. I know the plane, the ground. As long as they're in level plane, I don't care how deep that hole is. They don't have to go out and dig. You don't have to see dirt flying. I'm gonna show you some pictures here, or a video here in a second or two, to where they are not in the level plane, but this is key, plane of the ground, okay? So when you say you must drag,
No.
take the word must out of there. Any abbreviation here is an illegal pitch. Now,
As long as your toes point.
Jason, you back up one slide.
oh yeah, go ahead.
You know,
That'll help me prepare.
I'm not even close to being an attorney, but
Me neither.
so I won't, if there's any in here, then maybe they could help us
Yeah.
with this, but, must put, the step must be within the 24, so we're allowing her to take a step, okay?
The forward step, I'm
Yes,
sorry, that's how
I'm
I
talking-
wrote it,
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but my point is the pivot foot must stay in contact with the pitching plate or push off and drag away.
Yeah,
So pushing off is, to me, is, I mean, there's gonna be some, your foot is not gonna stay on the ground when
I'm gonna show
you
you a
push
picture.
off. So I don't know that it's possible to drag, in all cases,
Right.
to drag away.
Can I show you something?
I mean, that's almost like military intelligence. Not more.
It is
think you know about
impossible.
military,
That's why So the hole gets in the ground, it's impossible.
All right. Ready?
You're good,
You're good, you don't need
My
to.
point is, they just made this impossible for us to enforce.
Yeah.
And every one of these kids does something a little bit different than the last one you looked at. And I hate like hell for us to be nitpicking them,
Well, yeah,
because we don't have pictures,
I
we
mean,
don't
I-
have softball, but anyway, yeah.
we're not going to guess either, right?
No, I
We
don't know.
gotta make sure.
It's not like their men's softball jumping
Hello
off
and
of it,
welcome
you
to
know?
NFHS softball. We are
Nobody
going through
cares
the
about
two
that
different types of
anyway.
leaps. The definition of a leap is when both feet of the pitcher are airborne prior to delivering the pitch. This first pitcher steps on the plate and takes her signal. She starts the pitch when her hands separate. Notice her pivot foot is on the plate when the hands separate. After her hands have separated and she starts her windup, her pivot foot leaves the ground and is airborne.
Oh, yeah, she
Both of her
knows
feet
what
are in the air as she travels forward, continuing her windup. The base umpire must focus on the pivot foot in relationship to the hands when the pitch
That's
starts.
just a leap, that's a hop.
In this next clip, you will notice the pitcher turns her toe up and away from her
This is
body,
kind
allowing her to become airborne for several feet before she starts her drag. These two leap styles are very common. When leap is not called, the pitcher is permitted to gain speed and be closer to the batter when the pitch is released. This is a tremendous advantage.
Okay. I wanna go back
It's her
to
drag. Forward, continuing her windup. The base ump,
this.
Yeah.
I had a girl this weekend, she was resetting, like
That's
she would
got-
slide forward and then push off again, and I
That's
was looking,
coming up.
I was looking down at it
So
like,
this,
what the hell
this
is
here,
We see a lot of that.
we're not guessing, right? Now, it takes time to train your eye. It does. It takes time to train your eye. But what we're asking you is don't ignore it. I can't see it. Sometimes it's because we don't want to see it.
Is she dragging her toe on that, our push-off foot?
There?
Yeah.
No, this one
Looks
is
like
a,
to me that she's on the ground with the toe.
no, this,
At first, it's not that rubber, then it drags.
Need some new glasses, Bill.
hang on, Bill, let me slow it right way down. Slow it right way down, see what you can.
There's a lot of fun.
You see that? Did you see her kind of push off a little on that one?
That's easy.
Okay?
Watch when she lands.
Well, watch her head then. Watch her head.
umpire must focus
All right,
on
Edie,
the
come on.
pivot
I went a little slow.
foot
Hello?
in relationship to the hands.
Right there.
Bill,
All right.
In this next clip, you will
When you
notice
look on the ground, you're gonna see a big open space.
Yep.
When she
Yeah.
goes, like, when you go out there, you
turns
can
her toe up
see the
and
picture
away
of
from
Steve
her
is
body.
fully
before
let her go across
she
that.
Now,
starts
this
her
one
drag.
too, I want to stop here
These two leap
because,
styles are very common.
This is
When
like
leap
it
is not
hurts.
called, the pitcher is permitted to get
okay,
That's easy.
so this one here, I see it all the time. Because then, at the end of this, they do a drag. And they're like, I'm dragging. You're not dragging. You have lifted, remained. Now again, we're not guessing here. I'm not guessing on that. I see that. But again, it takes time to train your eye. And I go back to the sense of, don't ignore it because we don't want to call it controversy. I don't want to call it. I mean, that's your choice. But at the same time, if we want to get to the point to where we're consistent on everything we do as a crew, as a team, as an association, we can't ignore this. Okay? These are the two most common. Now, I very rarely, and you were talking about it, whoops, I very rarely see this next one. But it happens.
Hello and welcome to NFHS softball. We're going to look at two different styles of the crow hop. A crow hop is defined as a replant of the pivot foot prior to delivering the pitch. In this first clip, the pitcher jumps out in front of the pitching plate with the hands still together. By establishing this new starting point, the pitcher is actually starting the pitch from 35 feet instead of 40 feet. In the second clip, the pitcher drags to a new starting position. Notice the pitcher's feet in relationship to the plate when the hands separate. Again, giving the pitcher a much closer starting point to the batter. The base umpire must focus on the pitcher's pivot foot at the moment the hands separate. It doesn't matter if the pitcher steps, drags, or jumps in front of the plate when starting the pitch. When the pitcher is starting from in front of the plate and not on it, a crow hop has occurred.
The key there is the hands.
The pitcher is actually starting.
Not throwing it quick.
Okay, so I don't see, I don't, you guys may not, but what I've seen is, I see this situation as the young ladies get stronger and get older. But I don't see this a lot in the high school. I see a lot of leaping because that gives them some push, right? And this is just, it looks different, but if you noticed on the first one, it was real quick. I had to watch this a few times. I'm like, what is he doing? I knew it was crow hop because that's the title, but I'm like, it takes some time and all this dust but again.
The key is the hands.
Yep.
If the hands aren't coming apart,
It's soon, yep.
that's
So it's replanting, right? So that makes the definition of the crow hop over the leap.
That's what
Those
you
hands
do.
are not separate and he's back on the ground or
There's
she's
two
back on the
components,
ground.
a replant
Yep.
and the hands separate, then it does have a
Yep.
roll out.
Perfect.
May I
Mike.
interject here?
Go ahead.
Jason, because, I bring this stuff up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But, a true definition of a crow hop is the replant.
Right here.
And you're gonna hear coaches, when the pitcher drags the foot,
On that
and
next,
the law of physics, the foot eventually has to stop.
Yep.
That is not a crow hop.
So-
The foot stopped.
Yeah. You're on this one here, you
She
mean?
didn't replant, she dragged her foot, and you'll see it, there'll be a trench maybe that long, eventually the foot will stop, and she pitches.
Yep.
The hands were already separated. Don't let them talk you into a crow hop that isn't there.
Yeah. So the key
It isn't
word, what you
there.
just said, Dave, was the hands were
Separated.
separated. Yep.
And again, just because the foot stopped, doesn't mean it's a replant, it's a simple law of physics.
Yep.
Eventually, the foot has to stop. She's not replanting, she stopped. Remember that. If you use that term on them, you'll probably blow their mind because they probably don't understand physics.
So, I have one more that I want to, before I give you the ruling, I want to just look at it and watch it. It's quick, so we gotta probably watch it a few times. And I'm not good with Twitter, so I may have to slide this on Twitter. But my comment on illegal pitches, they're not fun to call. I mean, that's not why we're out there, right? We're not out there to be that, to do that, but it is part of our job. When we call the illegal pitch, it's like, well, I'll just go talk to him. How many times are you gonna talk to him? I'll talk to the coach. What if nothing changes? I was always told, what you call in the first inning, you call in the seventh inning. So if you talk to him for 3 innings, and then the next thing you know, you call an illegal pitch,
You haven't called that the first time.
right? So, call it and then work with them. If it's avoidable in the fact of you can call time to work with them, do that, right? When I said I called time and we did the reset thing, right, Dave? If you can avoid it, call time and reset and do things, and then chat with them and talk with them. But if it happens, we've got to call it. We can't ignore it. And it's only, it's not teaching the game as much as we're officials, we're not the coaches, but we are a part of it. We're teaching, and sometimes we teach the coaches what the game is. So,
I always ask, what rules do you want me to ignore?
yeah.
Because I'm not ignoring any rules.
Yeah.
I'm there to call the rules.
All right, so let's see if I can do this. I had to watch this
Yeah.
a lot.
This is the tough one.
Okay? So let's watch it. Maybe we'll watch it again. Let's not make comments just yet. And let's see if you can formulate what you would do as the umpire. All right, so we gotta get rid of this one. Whoever Nate on Twitter is. Okay. I don't think, does anybody know Twitter? Can I slow Twitter down? Does anybody know that? Okay, ready?
You have an account.
You know what the hell Twitter is.
I don't know how to get on it, I just know it's, here we go.
I heard it somewhere.
Ready?
Early, got another way.
That's a good one.
Okay, see that?
Live ball.
Early, got another way.
That base runner is gonna be.
It's a college game.
How the base runner's off the base before.
Okay.
It's a college game, if you heard it, the umpire said early,
Yeah.
right away.
The
So he's
runner's
already
off the
called.
base.
In college, it's a delayed dead ball.
Well,
You hear early,
Yeah.
just then,
okay, so let's say this is a high school game. I don't know what game it is. Let's say it's a high school game,
yeah.
Yeah, me.
and that happens.
That ball should be base early.
So, just at this point right
Runner
here,
left the base early.
okay? Just at this point, we can't see what really happened, and there, if we're done, if we just see this, as a plate umpire, are we saying anything right now? As a base umpire, are we saying anything right now?
Kill the play because the runner left early.
Well, minus that.
Besides that,
Yeah, I can't tell if that is the person filming screaming it,
Yeah.
or if
Could've
it's,
been a coach.
right, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So, Ed, I'm looking at the fact that this pitcher, this pitcher threw it behind her,
Early,
picked it up, got the girl out. Okay? Now, let's look at, I've seen it all now, high school softball game, and whatever this is pulls the trick play off.
Ooh,
yep.
okay.
Runner,
Watch where you're going with this, huh?
So, I don't know who this Nate is. That Nate may be a fan and he may be full of it. But,
Still legal.
you know, I'll get rid of that because,
Trying to say there's no pickoff play in softball?
well,
Because there isn't.
I just would like to show in the hands, do you think that play was legal?
Yeah.
Do you think that play was illegal? How many don't have any idea? And it's all right, because when I looked at it, I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so if you, I mean, going back to a point you made a couple times here, if you think that was, if that comes across to you, that they're cheating, then they're cheating, kill it, and make it right. But, because the pitcher, there is no pickoff play in softball, okay?
Everything's gotta go towards the.
She's got to But by
But
the
the
same
ball
token,
slips out of a person's hand.
So
and
that's a
line
different
on
story.
that ball.
that's a different story, Fred, that makes it legal. If
But-
that ball came out and it's loose, that makes it legal. If this was contrived, like this
Okay.
dad is saying, and they're out there, they're making a travesty out of our game right now.
I see where you're coming with this, Mike,
Unsportsmanlike
right?
behavior.
So when this first happens the first time, this happens and you're sitting there, are you
Uh-oh,
thinking right away that she did it on purpose?
no,
Okay,
not at all.
right? So, second time, you're going, all right, yeah, I might be going where you're going with this. But the first time it happens, I'd be like, oh, Chucky darns, that sucks, right? But it's not, this is a legal play based on, when the ball slips from the pitcher's hand during the backswing or forward motion, it is a pitch. Now, slips
Ball in the back.
through, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. The effect, a ball is warded on the batter and the ball remains in play, and runners may advance with the liability being put out. A defensive player may immediately retrieve the ball as long as the batter has no opportunity to contact the pitch. Right there, page 626.
But-
626,
Just like that.
page 54.
But go to page
Exception.
53.
Say it again?
Go to page 53,
Yeah.
Article 1.
Okay. So we go now. The pitcher shall not deliberately drop, roll, bounce, etc. the ball while in the pitching position in order to prevent the batter from striking it. Now, okay, that's 611 or 621. I'm gonna say, I watched it the first time and I'm like, oh, I didn't know where to go with it.
So what can the
Right.
base runner leave for his base?
When it leaves the pitcher's hand.
Raise the hand.
So I know.
It slips out, I take off.
Right, I get it. Right?
But look at the penalty.
So, yeah,
The penalty says any infraction is an illegal pitch, the ball is dead at the end of the playing action.
okay.
So he's still gonna tag the girl out? I mean, is that when it ends? Then you call an illegal pitch?
So you mean on the, if you feel she threw the
If you're
ball,
gonna use this rule,
611 or 621,
6-2-1,
yeah.
You would call an illegal pitch.
call an illegal pitch, but everything it says here, the ball is dead at the end of the playing action.
Yes.
you can still continue to hit a legal pitch.
Yep.
And then if everybody advances
That's
one
true,
base.
but so what I'm
So
saying
in
is,
this particular
in
one,
this particular
if
case,
you're
is
like,
that girl
if
still
you're
tagged
like,
out?
we got the steal sign, I know she's stealing, throws it backwards, and you deem it's deliberate.
Nobody's gonna do this deliberately.
Well, according to,
Smart to do
But I have seen girls.
according to Nate on Twitter, it was on purpose.
Official.
Right, I don't know.
Can we consult on this?
But it, but, so just to kind of wrap it up, just not wrap it up, but bring it back. We bring it to this point for discussion, right? Because when things like that happen, the best of the best and the brand newbies are in the same boat. Because you're like,